how are you today? Good to see you.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm glad that you came in, and before you start doing this, I want to say thank you for doing this. And I'm sure that it's not easy telling your story, but doing what you're doing is going to help others, and that's what we're here
I
for.
hope so.
What we're here for is not to glorify these incidents that happened, but more or less to let people know a little bit of a cautionary tale, but also to give people hope that are in a difficult position that there can be another way, and
Definitely.
it's really never too late to change. And you've changed, and you're successful now, and you have a nice family and a good life. So as dark as it got, it can get better. Here we are with
Rebecca.
And I guess we're going to continue on with our series about redemption. So we're going to go into a little bit of, your story. And Rebecca, and where are you from?
I'm from Las Vegas, born and raised.
Okay.
Yeah.
And give or take, give us a little idea of what type of time frame that was. You were born in the 80s?
I was born in 85.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't want to be disrespectful and ask a woman
Creeping
their age.
up on 40.
That's okay. I'm a little. It's all right. It's not a death sentence.
Right.
You'll be okay. So we just want to go into a little bit about your story of so born and raised in Nevada, in the 80s. So I'm guessing that you went to school here.
I went to school here.
Maybe give us a little bit of a background about your growing up. You went to school here. A little bit about what was going on and what you're doing at this time. Maybe
High school.
Were you living with both your parents in your childhood?
Okay, so my parents were separated at one point, and they ended up getting back together. My dad was a poker player, so that's what he did.
Okay.
My mom, best way to describe my mom is she's like a religious nut.
Okay. There's worse things.
There's worse things and there's better. So my parents got back together when I was in middle school. I went to high school in Northwest Las Vegas, Cimarron.
Okay. So high school's probably 2002-ish, 102.
Graduating 2004.
Oh, so okay, so 102.
If I graduated.
And what type of experience did you have here in high school? What were you involved in?
So I wasn't involved in a lot of things in high school. My mom, I really did no sports. I did no activities. My mom was pretty much at church.
So you just more or less went to school, came home, weren't involved in...
Nothing.
How do you feel about that?
Pissed.
Well, I mean, maybe...
Wish that I had done more. Obviously, you get into things later in life and you wish that you had, some type of background. It would have made things a little bit easier, but there was none of that, so.
Okay, so you didn't do that much in high school.
No.
You graduated.
I didn't graduate.
You didn't even graduate?
I didn't graduate. I started doing drugs in high school.
At, let's say, what point was this? 15?
16.
Age 15?
16.
Age 16, so this is maybe junior year?
So, freshman year, I started smoking weed. And then sophomore year is when I started doing more.
And this could be from lack of being involved in...
Yeah, this is just looking for, I was a follower. I would follow, I wanted to be accepted. I wanted love. So my parents, it was,
You didn't have an activity, and this is what you chose.
This is what I chose to do.
I mean, it's fair to say that this is probably the start.
It's the
down
start.
The wrong path.
True.
So where does this, how is this happening in high school? You're age 15, 16. Do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a girlfriend? Who are you hanging out with?
So, I had a job. I got a job at Sonic. Sonic was my first job.
It's a burger joint, right?
Yeah, on skates. And
they don't have that anymore, I don't think.
We have it. We have Sonic.
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
So I was at my neighbor's house, and a guy came over to their house who was, what I found out, like a big-time drug dealer.
And how old were they? Much older than you?
He was much older than me.
Okay.
He was like, he was 23, so yeah.
Oh, it's still, at that time, that's significant.
Yeah. And I was talking about going to work and how tired I was, because at this point I'm smoking weed. And he's like, oh, do you want to wake up? And I'm like, well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. And that was the beginning of the end.
Well, the beginning of the end, more or less how? Like, what are we doing to wake up?
Meth.
At a young age.
Young age.
16,
no thought about it. Just
16, 17. Yeah, but maybe.
Never made it to work that day.
But you're an impressionable by an older person, and you're not.
Yeah.
Really sure if this is.
Yeah, it was just always a yes.
What
for me.
this is, you just because you wanted to be accepted, and you're trying to make friends.
Literally.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So methamphetamine, I mean, that's a serious thing.
0 to 100.
So where does this lead to? You decided you were supposed to go to work, burger joint.
Yeah.
But you didn't go.
But I ended up looking for a lighter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens from there?
So the person that...
Like, do you just start doing this the next day again?
So the person that gave it to me, like, at this point, I've never met somebody like this. I've never been around people like this. Mm-hmm. So he's like, do you want to hang out? I'm like, okay. I hang out with him, and I literally everything that I saw from that point was, like, so fascinating to me. And I was like, this is crazy. He goes to people's houses. He gives them something. They'll give him everything they have.
So
this is cool.
Does this become kind of like a boyfriend kind of a thing?
Became a boyfriend kind of thing.
So he's 5-6 years older than you.
Yeah.
But with that age gap, that's not really.
It's a gap. It's like 7 years.
But
But yeah, I'm 16.
I'm saying that might be borderline inappropriate.
Okay. I've heard that.
Not to, insult anyone or anything. I'm saying that it's borderline inappropriate because he's
100%.
I think there's a difference between somebody being 35 and 28 and 23 and 16 is kind of what I'm going.
Yes.
Fair.
Gotcha. Fair.
So now you have someone that's early 20s, and I'm saying that this is a meth dealer.
He's a meth dealer, yeah.
But a meth dealer that's doing this to support a habit, or a meth dealer that...
Both.
This is impressionable because there's a lot of money being exchanged.
A lot of money being exchanged.
He would
give me meth every...
What's a lot of money?
I mean, he's at that point for me, a lot of money. He's selling pounds
of methamphetamine.
Yeah.
This is early 2000s. Right?
This is
Okay,
this is like 2002.
What are pounds of methamphetamine going for?
I'm not sure. I'm not selling them myself.
I'm not sure either.
Huh?
I'm not sure either. That's not.
I have no idea.
But at any given time,
I would say
how
like
much money is around
$1,000 an ounce. So I feel like 2,800. I feel like that, but I'm not sure.
For a pound?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not sure.
But at any given time, then how much money do you have around? How much money?
He's a really non-trusting person. This is like a completely different dynamic. Like, he's not wanting me to be involved in anything that he has going on, but he wants me there. He was like very, very paranoid person.
I mean, I think that's the nature of that.
Nature of the game.
Narcotic, though, right?
So I wasn't like involved. I didn't really necessarily. I couldn't tell you that.
But you
had money.
But you're not working.
So I was actually I did try to get another job, and I did try to continue to do school and do things like that, but I did struggle because he kept me supplied with more than what I could even do. I never wanted for it. And so I did start struggling with school and different things like that.
Is this a daily habit?
This is a daily thing.
So you're semi-functional, but this is a daily.
Yeah. I don't really think I was ever functioning that well.
Well, you said you were trying to go to school.
I was trying. I was doing my best.
What type?
Because I did still live at home. So.
Were you still staying at home, or?
I was still staying at home.
Like in a given week.
But I started to run away.
And this is early.
Pretty soon.
Early 20s or teens?
So I'm 16. I run away. And at this point, he's committing crimes. And. Okay.
Let's.
Tone it down?
No. Let's describe crimes.
Crimes. Okay,
like, so. It's not a parking ticket.
So, at one point, his house got raided. I was at his house, and he was like, you're, underage. This is nothing for you to take this charge. So,
Okay, so who raids the house? And how does this happen?
The cops. The cops come and raid.
This is Las Vegas Metro PD?
This is Las Vegas Metro.
And at what time of day?
Daylight.
So there's early morning. I mean, that's typical when that kind of thing happens.
Yeah, it is.
So there's an early morning raid at your boyfriend's house.
Yeah.
And you're there.
I'm there.
And this is a no-knock. I mean, are they kicking in the door?
They kicked in the door.
So they kicked in the door and they're coming in
But they
deep.
saw people like around where they were at in this apartment complex. It was very small and there was like different random people, a random van in the parking lot. So they kind of felt it coming and then it happened.
But they kicked in the door.
They kicked in the door.
What happens when they kick in the door?
They're putting everybody on the ground. They're taking everyone out. They're cutting open the couches.
So they're coming in deep.
They're coming in.
How many guys are coming in? 20?
Probably like 15 or 20.
15 or 20 guys. Yeah. Early in the morning, coming in, get to the ground.
Get on the, yeah.
Guns drawn.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
How many people are in the apartment at this time? It's an apartment. Yes?
It's an apartment.
Okay. How many people?
I want to say me, him, and his brother.
So 3.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are they there for?
They're there for the drugs and the money and possibly guns. He's been to prison, so.
Okay, so.
He's an ex-felon.
What?
His brother is as well.
So everybody's on the ground. You're all under arrest at this point in time.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah? Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a runaway. I'm reported as a runaway.
Are you 18? You're under 18.
I'm under 18.
So the conversation with this boyfriend about you.
It's yours.
About you taking you took the charge when they came
Yes.
through the door. You took the charge.
That's me.
You said it's all mine.
Yeah.
So then they're taking you
juvenile.
to where do they take you in the
they have a juvenile. They have a juvenile detention.
And do they read you your charges?
So they didn't find a lot of drugs. They didn't find a lot. And so, no, it's not like that with the reading of the charges. I do remember them putting me on like a juvenile. I had never been in trouble before. And putting me on like a juvenile probation. And letting me go home.
From the time they kick the door in, they put you under arrest.
Yeah.
They take you directly to juvenile from there.
Directly to juvenile. And they call your parents. You
did 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the other 2 guys in there caught charges too? Or?
They may have gone to jail. I think everyone went to jail. And I'm not sure what they went to jail for because they did get out. I got out. I went home and I ran away again.
Right away.
Right away.
Were you sober in jail? I mean, you're in juvenile for 2 weeks.
I was sober in there.
So this didn't like come out of your system and you weren't like, that's it for me. I gotta change my ways.
No, I gotta get back to where I was at.
I gotta do my 2 weeks and I gotta get back to
I don't know how long I'm gonna do, but however long, and I'm gonna just get back to what I was doing. I'm gonna go home and run away again.
So you ran away. Where'd you run to?
So I ran away again.
Does he move locations after this?
He moves locations.
Okay.
He moves locations. He's in a house now.
Okay.
He's in a house, and shortly after I go to that house, he's outside. So this maybe a month goes by. He's outside, and somebody drives by. Apparently, did some type of hand signal. He was a gangbanger at one point, so he thinks that this person is doing something threatening and shoots at them.
So, the boyfriend was gang affiliated?
Gang affiliated.
With?
Mexican gang.
So he's like maybe MS-13?
I don't know about that. I don't know if it was that, but
it's some type of gang affiliation.
Something, yeah.
Mexican, Spanish gang affiliation. He's standing outside at the house where you are, and shots are fired in both directions or one direction?
So I wasn't actually outside, but I think he just shot at them. Okay. He was a super paranoid person, and anything that rubbed him the wrong way, we're just shooting people.
But so people can understand, though, methamphetamine, the nature of that is to make you extremely paranoid no matter what's going on.
No matter what.
So somebody may or may not have come by.
Literally.
So we don't,
They could have been wiping their eye.
It could have been anything.
Yeah.
And so what, are there consequences from him firing shots?
So he fires the shots, and it says we have to go, and we leave, and let me see, because we got arrested again, and at this point...
Arrested for what?
Arrested for what? I'm not 100% sure. I would have to guess something. He didn't go... Did he go to jail?
Was it another raid, or was it another...
So, I think I got arrested... Possibly because anytime I would come across anyone, law enforcement or anything like that, I was on the run. So no matter what, I would automatically get picked up
because you're still underage.
Because I'm underage, and my mom has reported me as a runaway. So that happened, and when I went back, because I was on the probation, they said, so he was wanted for this drive-by.
Well, did anyone get, is it just shots fired, or did somebody get hit?
It's shots fired, but nobody got hit. But they did go to the house that we were at, and other people stayed at that house and let them know what happened. That's why we obviously left the house. Okay. And so he's wanted for this. And so at this point, they're like, what we're going to do with you is we're going to keep you in a group home, a secured group home until he goes to court. And in my mind, I was like, okay, but I'm going to be here forever because he's not going to court.
Because we don't know when he's going to court.
Well, he's not going to go to court.
So he's a fugitive.
Yeah, he's not the type of person who's going to court. So.
Okay. So now you're in the group home, and he's
wherever.
And
he's wherever.
You've lost contact, or you're still in contact?
So I decide that I'm going to break out of the group home.
Okay.
I'm like, I assessed
Where was the group home?
So the group home was actually on Charleston and 13th.
So it's in Las Vegas?
It's in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's very far.
No, it's not far. It's in the hood. They take your shoes because if you're a flight risk, they've got barbed wire.
Yeah, it's still,
it was doable.
Again, I think that the state can do a better job than that. If they're going to put you in a group home, just moving you a couple blocks away from the situation,
they felt like with a security guard and
I think that they can do better than that.
They could definitely do better.
I think that, that could be another discussion, but that's part of the reason why people that are having trouble can't get out of it.
Right.
I think the state can do a better job of putting you in more of a position for success. They more or less put you a couple blocks away.
Yeah.
So that's not like...
in a situation where what I have going on is dependent on him, which...
he's in the area.
Yeah.
They didn't move you 100 miles, and
they're thinking he's gonna go to court. They're gonna pick him up. He's gonna be detained, and then that'll be a good.
So if you get out of the group home, where do you go from there?
So I did. I left the group home. I waited until the nighttime when the security guard there was just one security guard, and then went and jumped the fence and did the whole 9 and left and called him to come and pick me up.
Okay.
On Fremont Street.
Now it seems like he's a fugitive. And you're on the run.
I'm on the run again. Okay, so I get out this time. I want to say he had another girlfriend at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where we're at with that.
So where does that put you?
Yeah, I was just distraught.
So did you go back home?
I did not go back home.
So where do you go?
No. Okay, so he doesn't have another girlfriend yet. So at this point, no, I get pregnant. I have a kid with him before he has another girlfriend.
Okay.
So I get pregnant, and
does this help change you for the better at this point in time? Like, what are...
No.
What?
No, this does not help change me for the better.
So your lifestyle as a young pregnant person was still...
Yeah.
Reckless.
It was super reckless. I had gotten pregnant. I had actually had a miscarriage and got pregnant again. And I'm thinking this is going to make our relationship better. Everything's going to get better from here. Yeah.
We know how that goes.
No. So that's when he ended up cheating on me and left me, ended up going to jail. I've moved on.
You went to jail?
I didn't go to jail.
He went to jail.
I didn't go to jail.
He went to jail.
He went to jail. He's got out. He's removed from my life.
But he knows that he has a child.
Yeah.
Have you had any contact since that?
So at this point?
Well, okay.
I'm going to be honest with you. He actually had someone try to rob me when I was pregnant, and somebody pistoled me. So, like, he didn't really care that I was pregnant with his kid.
What? I mean, those are...
So I've moved along.
That's a very serious thing. So why... What is the background behind that? I mean, where are you staying when this happens?
Okay,
then,
so
I mean, it takes... I've been around some very serious people that have done serious things. But even with my background, I don't think I know anyone that's pistol whipped a woman.
Yeah.
And trying to find someone to be able to do that, it takes
a special
type of individual that's even going to do that.
So at this point, I met these Belizean guys that were selling much more, and I just happened to meet this guy on the street, and he's like, "I'll give you a sample, and if you want to sell it." Now, mind you, I've never sold anything, so I'm completely caught off guard that this guy thinks that but I'm like, oh, bright light for me. I can do this. This is what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm here for it. And so these people did not get high. They didn't get high. They had plenty of stuff. They were like, we'll give you whatever. You sell it. You come back. And I'm like, okay, so I can finally.
This was their business.
Yeah, this is their business. And I'm like, I can one up him. I can be better. I can move forward. And so he finds out that this is what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And at that point, he tells his friend to meet up with me. And that's what.
And they try and rob you for drugs.
They try to rob me. And I had a feeling that was going to happen. So I didn't necessarily have that much on me, but I still got pistol whipped.
And at that point in time, is it, obviously you have an association or an affiliation with somebody that is serious.
Yeah.
So
they gave me a gun. They gave me a gun. Yeah.
But they gave you a gun for protection or retribution?
Either.
Or both?
Don't let it happen again.
Don't let it happen again?
Yeah, but next time you don't have to worry about that.
But okay, in that sense. Yeah. Not don't let it happen again or we're going to give you a problem.
Yeah, no.
Don't let it happen again.
No, because I didn't even lose anything. They felt bad for me and they were like, this is the answer.
And they didn't seek to go after him for consequences.
No. These people were
there was no payback in that fashion.
Mm-mm. Don't hang out with people like that. That's stupid.
And is this one of the last interactions you had with him?
So this is one of the last interactions that I had with him. At this point, I've moved into this house. I'm, selling drugs. I'm pregnant. I meet another guy. This guy's 30. He's 33.
And you're what, 20?
I'm 17.
17.
I'm 17. So.
What does this guy do? Is he involved in the game too?
So he seems like doesn't want anything from me because at this point I'm now selling drugs. Everybody wants something. He didn't seem like that. Brought me food. He seemed cool. So.
Well, what was he doing?
He was doing drugs and stealing from construction sites. Is what I found out.
Okay, but
that's his thing.
He's doing low level.
He's doing low level petty stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
But the people that are putting you in position to sell narcotics are not doing low level.
No.
Petty crime.
No, they're not.
Okay.
They're not doing crime. They bring people from Belize and position them all over Las Vegas, New York, different places, and they're about their business.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. So I start interacting with this other guy, and very quickly I'm in the mix of a completely different lifestyle because he's more than a few times having police after him and bringing police around this house where there's several people coming in and out buying drugs because of his, stealing and things like that. And so at this point, I have my baby and I call my parents and I'm like, this is something I don't want to do on my own. Mm-hmm. I need help. I need to, And so I have my mom come. At this point, they don't drug test you when you're at the hospital. I was on drugs.
Okay.
And my mom told them to drug test me because she knew that I was under the influence and she wasn't letting me leave the hospital like that. So they asked if she would take the baby. And so I asked her if I could, come home and change my life at that point. Like, I want to do the right thing.
So this might be the first attempt at something.
First attempt, yeah. She said no. She said, we'll take the baby.
Okay.
But you have to figure it out where you're at. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do that. That's not, that's unrealistic.
Okay. So she took...
So she takes the baby, yeah. And at that point, I'm around people who have seen me this whole entire time pregnant, and the next day I'm back, I don't look pregnant, and nobody even remembers it. Life has gone, it's just like that. So I'm back doing exactly what I was doing, yeah. I'm not on the street, but I might as well be.
Not living on the street, but you're
living that life.
More moving or less around. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not working at Sonic.
I'm definitely not working, no.
On the street conducting transactions.
So at this point, the house that I'm at does get raided. I don't believe I went to jail. I want to say I wasn't there. But at this point, the people that I'm dealing with are starting to not want to deal with me. They're like, we're definitely not coming to that house.
What, people that are buying from you?
The people that are selling, the people that are giving it to me.
At this point in time, the people that you're dealing with now, is this strictly a methamphetamine thing that they're dealing with you? Or are you involved in other?
Meth.
Strictly
meth.
So they're giving you meth, and they're putting this out on the arm to you?
Yeah.
For once a week?
Yeah.
Or whenever you need it, you call
whenever
them?
I need it, yeah. Whenever I need it, call.
And how much are they putting on the arm to you?
Not that much. A couple ounces at a time.
Couple ounces at a time. Yeah. So you sell it, hit them up.
Come
boom.
Back. Yeah.
And as you were saying, at this point in time, they're a little weary of dealing with you.
Yeah, they're hearing what's going on. I'm telling them what's going on, and they're like, yeah, you're not,
it's
you shouldn't be dealing with that guy. He's stupid.
Uh-huh.
And so at this point, I've had a few people tell me that this guy, there's something off with him. And so at this point, I come to find out that he's intravenously using, which I was completely those people are weird that don't like, don't mess with those people, don't sell to those people, just don't deal with those people. Those people are weird. Because that's been ingrained in me from the prior person that I was dealing with.
I mean, it's an injection. It's right into the bloodstream. It's it's the next level up from smoking.
It's the next level.
Okay.
So
he's got a lot of problems.
It wasn't super obvious to me, but it was obvious to everyone else. So, but I did continue to interact with him, and with that, just getting more into the different things that he was doing. So I would go with him when he would steal from places or things like that, and eventually.
Why do you have to go to places to steal things if you're already selling meth? So there's money coming in.
I'm just going into the next thing. I'm like, okay, this sounds exciting.
And that would be the only reason.
Because
there's money in meth. If you're selling meth,
there's money
you're making money.
There is money in meth, but there are a lot of cops coming around and raiding this house, and especially the guy that's at this house is like, it's getting hot here, and we maybe aren't going to want you here. So I'm like, okay, it's time to slow it down a notch.
Okay, so slowing it down a notch turns into
just veering the other way,
which is theft.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily stealing, but at this point he ends up coming across a bunch of guns. I mean, he's just coming across random stuff. So at this point, he's come across a bunch of guns, and we end up in a motel room, hotel room, whatever the case may be. And like I said, the cops are constantly on him, and they raid that house.
House or the hotel room?
Hotel room. Motel room.
Oh, and you're in possession of a lot of firearms.
4 firearms.
4 firearms at the time they kicked the door.
Yeah, I say they're mine again.
I mean, you're taking a lot of weight for people that
I've never had a charge. This guy, his prerogative. I've been to prison 3 times. I'm literally going to do life. This is what everyone tells me. I'm going to do life. And I'm like, I've never been in trouble.
But now you're going to have some trouble.
I've never been to jail. I'm going to jail.
You're going to have some trouble here with 4 firearms. So, I mean, I don't want to speculate, but this is illegal possession of a firearm. Probably 4 cases of it. It's 4 separate charges.
And it was, there were talks of federal charges on it, but I had never been to prison. I had never been in trouble. They charged me 1 count of a firearm, drugs probably, I'm sure. And at this point, I plead to...
Did you lawyer up?
I didn't. I had a...
It's a public defender.
He got arrested as well, so at that point, they had a public defender, but then if there was 2 people, it would be a conflict of interest, so they would give one, a little bit better of an attorney. And I got the little bit better of attorney. And the guy was like, you don't look like somebody who's ever been in trouble. The DA was asking for 2 to 5, and he was like, I think we can get you 19 to 40. I went in front of the judge. The judge was like 12 to 15. They gave me the complete lowest sentence there was.
12 to 15 months.
12 to 15 months. My lawyer was like, we asked for more than that, and he gave you less.
So from the arrest at the motel, they took you to Clark County?
They did.
Did you make bail?
I didn't make bail, no.
So you didn't make bail, so you sat in Clark County awaiting trial.
Yeah, it wasn't it was a fast situation. They were like, okay.
Pled out
exactly. I didn't know anything. I didn't know, if you plead guilty to 3 felonies, even though it sounds like, oh, I could be out of here in 12 months. That's nothing.
But
now, stack them up. 3 charges, I'm fine with that.
So, credit to some time served in the county, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So you got 12 months, and they moved you from then Clark County to where?
To prison.
In Nevada.
Which is here, yeah.
Where is that in Nevada?
It's in.
But you're moving from a different facility at this time. You're going from Clark County to
prison.
Which is where?
North Las Vegas.
North Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like
women's
Prim.
prison.
Prim, not Gene.
So
Prim.
a little south of here.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's to serve out your 12 months.
It's not Prim. The prison is not Prim. That's where the camp is. I moved there to serve my 12 months.
Did you do the whole 12?
So,
Because it's state, so I don't know.
I didn't. I did. Yeah, I might have done 10 or 12 months.
10 or 12 months.
It was less than a year.
And
total.
released on probation
released on parole, but for a really short amount of time.
So when you're released on parole, are they drug testing you?
They're drug testing me.
They're drug testing you.
Yeah.
So when you are released from prison for the first time,
yeah,
where do you go?
I know, that's what I was just thinking about. I went home to my mom's house one time and my dad's house one time. So at this point,
they let you stay there?
Yeah, my parents were. Yeah, I went home with my mom.
And they're drug testing you. So are you doing the right thing at this point in time? Or no,
so
not really?
No, I never was doing the right thing. I'm pretty sure I returned to using drugs. I'm trying to remember. For my first time I went to prison for guns. I get out. Yeah, I'm doing the right thing for a little bit. My mom, her rules are I go to church. So okay. I'm going to church. That didn't last long though. I think I even met somebody at church that went to NA. Okay. And I literally asked them, like, they asked me to go to an NA party, and I was like, do they have their own alcohol? Like, how does that work? And they were just like, had no idea. Out of there. So okay.
Who are you coming in contact with now? Are the people that were supplying you in the past, are they out of the picture?
They're out of the picture.
They're gone.
They're out of the picture, yes.
Okay.
So, so at this point, I start hanging out with someone from church.
Okay.
And that's the person that was in the NA. And he said that he, had a drug problem. Didn't seem that way at all. But I was like, okay, cool. Okay. I'm vibing with you because that's me.
Yeah, because I have.
But super low level. He did a little bit of stuff in high school, and he was in the NA. And he was like, I want you to get into this. I would go. I never was like. I was like, I'm just here with you. You have the problem.
Okay.
So I'll just support you.
All right. Okay. So
naturally.
You were looking for someone to hang out with.
Yeah. Okay. Just someone to get away from my parents and stuff like that. And so I ended up moving in with him. So I did end up having a job and finishing that parole because it was a short term. At this point, he's like, oh, well, you can smoke weed when you get off parole. And I'm like, perfect, because this guy thinks we're going to smoke weed, but really I'm going to just send it, but I'm going to ease into it.
Yeah.
I'm going to ease him into it with the weed.
Okay.
And so.
Sounds like a plan.
Day I get off parole, full send. I'm back doing what I do.
Who are you calling for meth at that point in time?
So at this point.
And how are you paying for it?
So this guy, his parents are millionaires. They take care of him. He doesn't have to have a job. Like, he's the perfect person for me to meet when I get out of prison.
Okay.
He's like, they give me money. I'm like, okay, cool. Do you like to gamble?
All right.
Get into that.
So you got some money.
We'll spend all your,
now your
allowance.
You already have
Don't have to rob anybody. Don't have to steal anything.
So you have plenty of contacts to go get meth. And you've introduced.
So I don't necessarily remember having contacts to get meth. I do think it was a little bit difficult, but I'm sure I called somebody that maybe I met in jail or different things like that. I didn't just return to where I was at.
And did you get him involved in this?
So I got him involved. I was like, you wanted to smoke weed. He wanted to do cocaine. I had done cocaine one time. I hated it. I was like, I'll just do it so that way he'll be willing to do what I want to do.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, he was into it.
So
he was into it. And at this point, so his dad leaves him his checkbook, like a book full of, it was like pages of checks. So okay. At this point, we're now running out of money. He's doing drugs. I'm doing drugs. We're gambling. Big time gambling.
What are you gambling on?
Blackjack, Keno.
So you smoke meth, so you're up, energetic.
But don't need to go do any crimes, did end up going there. But first,
you're at the table.
I'm like, okay, so your dad's not going to give you any more money, but he left you that checkbook with the signed check, and he told you it's in case of emergencies, which this clearly is.
Okay.
So let's
write a check.
Yeah.
So you just take it to the check cashing
place?
So
we take it to our bank. This is his dad gave him this.
Okay, for how much?
So at this point, we're like, okay, we'll just write the check for however much we can, get out of the bank, which we could get $1,000 a day.
Were you doing $1,000 a day?
So we did $1,000 a day for 26 days.
26 grand.
So at that point, the check bounced.
Okay.
And his dad's living in the Philippines, and they contact his dad, and they're like,
what the fuck?
What the fuck? And I'm just like, your dad's cool, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. And I'm like, you sure?
Okay.
Because this is your dad.
Yeah.
So his dad was like, it was overdrawn by $5,000. And if you guys don't get me the $5,000, I'm gonna press charges.
All right. So it's $26,000 though?
But it's only overdrafted $5,000.
Overdrafted $5,000.
Yes. But he just wants $5,000.
Okay.
And so that day.
Before we get to the $5,000,
yes.
What happened to the $26,000?
Gambled.
Keno.
Gambled.
Blackjack.
Bought meth.
Where are you gambling at?
Went and stayed for a minute in the Red Rock.
So locally.
Might as well just stay there at this point. We're going to gamble. Okay. We might as well just get a room here. Why not?
I mean, the room was the least of the
concerns.
At least of the concerns. Okay. So $5,000. So now you're down $5,000. And he says, you got to go get me the $5,000.
You have to get me the $5,000. And I just so happened
how long do you have
to win $7,000 that day.
On what?
I was 7 out of 7 on Keno, betting $1.
Okay. That's
cool. And I was like,
all right.
Cool.
So now you gave him the $5,000?
I'm not going to jail. I don't think you're going to go to jail because this is your dad, but I'm going to make sure I don't go to jail. So
you guys gave him the $5,000?
Gave him the $5,000.
Okay.
And at this point, his parents are like, we'll pay you to just please stay away from our family. Like, what? Okay. And I was like, how much?
How did that negotiation go?
He was like, how could you ask them that? Well, I'm not going to stay away from you. And I was like, okay, so we're going to have to figure something out. But they still allow him to stay in his apartment.
Okay.
And so at this point, I'm like...
So you're still with him?
So I'm still with him.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, I never really liked him, but...
Other circumstances?
It worked. Okay. So I'm like...
Transactional relationship?
Yeah. I wanted to do parole. I didn't want to do it at my house. Stars were aligning.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, so I used to, because that was another thing that the other guy did was like he would break into people's cars. So I'm like, we could do that. We could, go out at night.
You already knew how to do this a little bit because you were trained.
Just go and just see.
What is it with the breaking in the cars though? Like, I mean,
because you can go around at nighttime.
Okay, but if you're gonna steal a car, there might be a way to off the car and get some money out of it. But when you're breaking into the car... So I did skip over stealing cars.
I forgot that I went to prison for... That's what it was. I went to, jail for stealing cars.
But what are you breaking into the car for? What is
People are leaving their purses. You're going to nicer neighborhoods. People are leaving their purses, phones, different things like that, and you sell them.
I mean, it seems like a lot of work for not that much money, though.
It's ridiculous.
It's not that much money.
It's not that... It's a lot of work.
For not that much money.
For not that much money.
Okay, so how long were you doing that?
But he loves doing this.
He loves breaking into cars?
He loves breaking into cars, and he starts to Google things on the computer about robbing places and how to do these things, and he's doing all of this, and I end up he's breaking into a car that was a police officer's car.
Probably a bad choice.
Clearly. So
break into a police... Was it his private car or was it...
It was the private car.
It was his private car.
He had TVs in the car. I was like, I'm going in this car.
All right.
So we're driving. We're driving around in Henderson, and so they pull us over, and I immediately tell him, I just got out of prison. Mm-hmm. You've never been to jail. Because
you're flipping the game on him.
Flipping it around. Yeah. You've never been to jail. Like, I need you to do this.
Okay. Are you still in contact with him to this day?
I'm not in contact with him. I did actually reach out to him to try to apologize to him. I felt pretty bad about a lot of things that happened. He didn't answer me, which I totally understood. I didn't even want to do it because I didn't want to bring up bad.
But he might someday, because, I mean, what I'm getting at is that it seems like you feel responsible for leading him down the wrong direction.
100%. He wouldn't have done those things.
Because now we're progressing into breaking into an officer's vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't mean to interrupt you. So you're pulled over.
And
so
he
they were onto you quick then on this.
They were onto me quick.
Quick.
In Henderson. Yeah.
Henderson.
They're not playing no games.
Not playing. They're on you. They pull you over. You're flipping the game on him now.
Does he
take the charge?
He does. He's like,
I did.
It was me. Okay. And I was like, I will get you out of jail.
Do you get him out of jail? So these are theft charges, so I'm imagining the bail isn't... It's probably not that high.
So, not
that it's not a serious thing, but the bail is...
So in Henderson... $5,000. Yeah, so I got him out of jail, and... in the process of him being in jail and them coming to talk to him and them looking at my name, they were like, there's no way. So they go and they talk to him. Mm-hmm. And they're like, there's more to the story. Mm-hmm. So he agrees to bring them to our house where there was a bunch of stolen property and give them the stolen property and tell them where it came from and different things like that.
He's not experienced in the life. He didn't know to keep his mouth shut. And
he tells them everything.
He gives it all up quick.
Yeah, I was pissed, of course, but at this point, it's like, it only makes sense.
So there's a lot of stolen property in your...
There's a bunch of stolen property, yeah.
So now you're charged with possession of stolen property.
So this is his house. So I'm not, but he tells me about it, and I'm like totally freaked out. I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm not. Okay. He's like, it's fine. I fucked up. I'll tell him something. I'm like,
too late for that.
Okay, I'm leaving. Yeah. I'm out. I don't even know, like, right now talking, I'm totally just shut down. Stop talking. So I go and move in with a girl that I was in prison with.
Okay. What is she doing?
So she is a VIP cocktail waitress.
Okay.
So...
And again, this is locally, this is in Vegas.
This is locally, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I move in with her, and I had been with her in prison. Okay. So I'm like, we're back on. And she starts making checks. She's making checks, and at this point, like, there's like...
Making checks isn't like, this is fraud?
Yeah, she's got a special printer and special ink. I never was really into all that kind of stuff, but
So she's more into scams.
That's her thing. She's got the checks, and then she comes across people who, at this point, there's like a big thing going on in Vegas with, if you could just get credit card numbers, they would make the card. They had credit card makers. There was a few credit card makers floating around, and she happened to come upon, and so. I was like, I've never been one to go into places and like the cashing the check in my account. That was real money. I'm not really about.
So now,
okay. I'm doing everything at nighttime. I'm not trying to go in any banks in the daytime and do all. But I'll support you in that. I'm here for it.
So this is what she is. She's into scams.
So that's what she's into.
Doing a little bit of cocktail wagering and scams.
Yeah, and like fell off of that and kind of went into scams, and then.
And how's the pay with this?
Getting rental cars, getting hotel, anything that you can do with a credit card where you don't really, like, there's not a lot of face-to-face interaction. She's going to the stores and buying stuff. Anything that somebody wants or needs, or people who are coming with profiles and things like that, that's what she's doing. Doing checks. People are taking checks, and,
so are you cashing checks?
I am not.
Where's the money coming in? Like, it's just stuff.
So the money's coming in. Anything that she does for anyone with these credit cards or giving people credit cards, they're bringing the numbers and she's charging them for that. Anybody who's going and cashing checks, she's taking a percentage of that. And she's getting people who are younger people who, oh, it's not a big deal if you go take this check, and they're thinking this is, people who maybe don't even have to go to the check cashing place. So she's making money doing all of that. And
how much money?
Again, it's not
$1,000 a week or more.
Just enough to just live her life the way she wanted to live her life.
$1,000.
Have a good time. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, gambling, staying.
So it's got to be more than $1,000 a week.
And she's making a good amount of money. She's making a good amount of money.
$10,000 a month.
And so she decides to go and set up shop in the Mandalay Bay.
What do you mean set up shop?
She sets up an entire credit card maker and different printers and laptops and all the and she's doing all of this out of the Mandalay Bay. Okay. And so...
Are you staying in the Mandalay Bay too?
So I'm not staying at the Mandalay Bay. Something ended up transpiring between me and her. In between her going from the house to the Mandalay Bay, we had a fight, and then I ended up going to the Mandalay Bay to talk to her. The Mandalay Bay got raided.
But you're on the radar now.
I'm on the radar.
So...
I'm on the radar. She comes up with a story. She's like, this is what we're going to tell them. We're going to tell them that none of this is ours. None of this. I was like, they're not going to believe that.
Okay.
Like, they're not.
So, if the Mandalay Bay gets raided, you're
I'm going to jail.
Again.
I'm going to jail.
But what are your charges at this point in time?
So, at this point, they come in. They do that. They raid the room. She has this story that she tells them. We just met. We just came to this room to party, this and that. I go along with the story, and we both go to jail. I told her we're both going to jail. Mm-hmm. And so...
But this time it's you and her. It's not a guy, so you're going to jail together.
We go to jail together. So because of my charges and having been to prison before, they put me in a different area. They put me in the jail. They have like a more... It's not like... a disciplinary, it's just a more lockdown, whereas where she went, she was in a dorm setting. So we're separated. And when we go to court, we see each other, and they separate us, and they separate us from the courtroom. And so at that point, my attorney tells me she's telling on you. They said it's one or the other. And so you need to be prepared that none of this stuff is mine. So I'm now in jail for manufacturing a forgery lab, which carries a 1 to 20. Mm-hmm. It could be anywhere in there. It could be 8, 7, 6, 5.
Judge's discretion.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm not going to say it was her. She's clearly saying it was me. So I just want to know like what I'm looking at here. How long am I going for?
So, okay.
Nobody's bailing me out. I was with her.
So you were both, but you're both in the county lockup. But did you have any interaction in the county lockup?
We didn't have any interaction.
You were separated.
We didn't have any interaction. I saw her the one time, and that was after they had just told me the reason why you guys aren't going to be going in the courtroom together is that she's doing this, and so they separate the tracks at that point. They're not going to have her in there with you.
But your attorney tells you that she's informing you on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so now, what do you tell your attorney?
How long am I going to prison for?
So you're prepared to eat the charge?
I'm ready to... What can I do?
Plead not guilty. You could.
So you're going to plead not guilty, but in Las Vegas, like, I already have these charges. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to prison for something. So at that point, they pled it down to burglary, forgery, theft.
Okay, so...
Attempt theft, they, like, give you those lower charges, and they were like,
false pretense.
If you plead to all 3 of these...
Uh-huh. But you already got priors now, too.
I already have two other priors. Mm-hmm. So, but if you plead to all 3, because I'm not thinking about that. I'm not thinking like, oh, it adds up and that means anything to me.
You want to know what this is going to cost me.
What's the lowest I can get if I plead to 3? Okay. I'm not thinking, oh, I can take it to trial, anything. I'm in a room full of people's profiles, and to me, I was like, this is bad. This is really bad. Like, give me the lowest amount I can get. And they're like, you could probably get you a 2 to 5, but possibly a 1 to 4, all running concurrent.
All right, so you go before the judge, you plead guilty.
I go before the judge, and I'm like, I already know by going in, and it's the same judge again, that when he sees me, I'm getting the low amount. I know it.
So he's going to do you a favor.
100%.
And he did,
because I just don't look like that type of person.
Did he do you a favor?
He gave me the low end. So I got a 1 to 4.
But it's a 1 to 4.
It's a 1 to 4. So I'm going to prison. So I could be.
So you went right from the county.
Yeah.
You were there for a while. Then to the court. You never made bail.
I never made bail. I never had anybody that was going to bail me out.
To the courtroom. And then now you're going back to state.
You know what? I may have gotten out, because I want to say there was a point where I got out of jail at one point and caught more charges and went back, and that got pleaded into, and I think it was at that point in time. But if I got out, it was
quick.
2 weeks. Anytime I got out, I automatically did something else. So
but,
I go to prison, so I go right back.
You're the Mandalay Bay raid. These are the fraud. These are all fraud charges.
Fraud charges.
You went to county.
Manufacturing a forgery lab.
Right. You went to county, and you may or may not have made bail at this point.
I didn't make bail. I didn't get out on bail. However, they had different reasons that they. I'm trying to remember if I didn't go to a program. It's a possibility that I made bail. Or house arrest, or they had something to where I was able to get out for a short amount of time
and you caught
while waiting.
Then what did you catch? What type of charge did you catch while waiting?
When I went to prison the second time, my charges were, there was a burglary. So that's what I was going to say. The forgery and the theft came from the manufacturing and forgery lab, and then I got a burglary added to it. So I stole something from somewhere. I have no idea.
You don't remember where?
Don't even remember.
So it was an additional
charge, and when they put me back in, they were like, do not release her on bail. Do not let her out for any reason. She's going to prison.
Okay.
But I was able to still get the 1 to 4. They didn't give you much.
They gave you 1 to 4, which is 12 to 48 months.
12 to 48 months.
Okay.
So I went to prison.
So back to prison.
They were like,
Same prison?
Same prison. There's only one women's prison.
There's only one women's prison in the state?
Yeah. So the first time I went, 12 to 15, that's only a 3-month difference. So I knew no matter what, good behavior, bad behavior.
12 to 48.
Now I'm on a 12 to 48. So they're like, if you work, if you do these things, it'll shorten up that back end and you can be out of here in the 12 months. I was like, I'm not working.
You didn't want to work in the
prison? I don't want to work. I'm not working here. I'm already in prison. I'm good.
Why?
I don't want to.
Well, what else are you going to do?
I hate authority. I don't want to work. I'm gonna start gambling in here. I'm good at dominoes. I'm good at cards. I'm going to see what I can do there.
You could have worked in a laundry room.
So it's actually harder to get a job in the laundry room. Like
I said that for example.
I'm just letting you know. Like there's the higher class jobs in the culinary.
What about the mail room?
Kitchen. No, like the really good jobs are for people that are in there for a long time. So those are going to come later in the game. Those are reserved for people that get a long time and have seniority.
You didn't even want to start, though. You said,
didn't even want to start. I was like, right to 12 to 48, the most I'll be in here is 18 months. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to be sentenced to prison and work.
So
Why would I?
What did you do in there at this point?
So I just did the bare minimum. I just did whatever I wanted. I didn't do much. I gambled.
What'd you do all day?
I hung out.
You just hung out all day?
Yeah, I hung out.
I mean, there's not that much to do in there.
There's not that much to do. I started, at this point, they had a lot of people got on websites in the women's prison.
I didn't know that. Okay.
You didn't know that?
No.
Okay, so in the women's prison, it's pretty typical for, you can like put yourself online, and then there's a large amount of men that are out that want to write you and send you money, and you can figure it out. So I was like, okay, I can do this.
So what did you put on what website?
I was on a few websites. Write a Prisoner, Meet an Inmate.
Write a Prisoner, Meet an Inmate.
Yeah.
And there's guys flooding your inbox.
Yeah. So I did that, but I wasn't in there that long, so I didn't really get too deep into that. I just did it enough to because at this point, this is my second time. My parents are like, we're not.
But there's guys flooding your inbox. Are they sending you money?
They're sending me money.
Sending you money.
I'm good. I have enough. I'm doing enough to just get by in there.
All you gotta do is post up online.
Do my
say a few little things to a couple guys.
Make some calls.
Couple calls.
Yeah.
Not like you got anything else to do.
And then so I get out. I get out on parole.
How long?
I got out on my first parole. I didn't even need to.
12 to 48, how long were you
12. You go to parole. You go to the first parole after 12 months. And
you were rehabilitated by doing what?
They just needed to get people out of the system.
Just running you out of the system.
They needed to get people out of the system. What I did wasn't, it wasn't.
So you went down for 12, you didn't do anything else, so we're going to let you go.
Yeah.
And you're on parole at this point in time?
I had some people write letters.
You're on parole at this point in time again?
I'm on parole. I go home to my dad's. My parents are now divorced. My dad says I can come home. He lived in a completely opposite part of town. He lived in the Southwest. I didn't know anyone over there. I was like, yeah, I'm over it. 2 weeks. I was able to make it 2 weeks, and then I left.
You left your dad's for where?
So I originally went to, I got the usual, I got a weekly so I could figure out like who I'm going to interact with at this point. And I had another girl that I was with in prison. And so I hit her up and went to live with her.
And what is her deal?
She's doing counterfeit money. Just doing counterfeit.
Well, I think, I didn't know that. I would imagine, though, that women are into a lot more scams and counterfeits. Not that men are,
and counterfeit money was a thing.
Men are into
at
a little
this
bit
point
more.
In time, a big thing was that Target had just got in a lawsuit for not accepting a $100 bill from someone. It was one of the old $100 bills. Mm-hmm. And so in the lawsuit, all Targets were accepting the $100 bills during this time. Okay. So they're alerted to that. We're making the $100. When I say we, I wasn't, but I was definitely like, okay, I'll go spend $100 bills at Target.
Okay,
and split
but
it.
Now you're dealing with counterfeit money. Now you're not dealing with the state anymore.
Well, I'm not dealing with the state. I didn't go to prison for that. I never got caught up in that. But that's what was going on.
Okay, but that's no longer a state.
Yeah, and I'm not thinking about that. To be honest, the whole time that I was ever committing crimes, I always thought to myself, like, the people that I know that got a lot of time for the habitual criminal, they were always doing the same thing. So if I consistently change it up, that's not going to happen to me.
Okay, so you changed up your girlfriend was doing it?
That's what she was doing.
She was a counterfeiter.
So this didn't go on very long. She started talking to a guy, and I was like, yeah, I'm out of here. So that's when I met my co-defendant that I got my long prison sentence for. So
is this a guy or a girl?
I meet this guy, and he is like, he had just got out of prison, and he's literally like willing to do whatever. So okay. I'm like, okay, well, at this point, I don't necessarily know how I eased into this, but this is when I started to break into people's houses. I was like, I'm breaking into people's cars. I'm using this tool to break people's windows. Like, I should be breaking people's windows at their house.
Okay. So if you're going to break into a house, though, how do you? I mean,
so I'm like, this is going to be a daytime thing. People are not going to. I can't break into somebody's house at nighttime. So.
Okay. So how do you pick a house to break into?
So I'm just like, okay, we're going to go to a house in a nicer neighborhood.
Okay. So you're step one.
Step one, we're going to go to a house in a nicer neighborhood. We're going to wait until like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Assuming that, all right, they're leaving for work.
People are leaving and things like that, you know. No cars in the driveway. And we're just going to, because at this point, a lot of people didn't have alarms on their houses. So in my mind, I'm like, if I break the glass, if they have an alarm, it's probably going to go off and make a sound.
And there's probably less cameras.
There wasn't a lot of cameras.
Yeah, at that point in time.
The GPS is just coming out at this point. Those Garmin things. Like, there's not a lot of that. Exactly. We break into a house.
But how are you picking the house? Are you randomly just picking
randomly.
A house? So it wasn't like you sat on the house.
I was set on Summerlin. I liked Summerlin at that point.
And how are you getting in the house?
So we had a tool that was, I think it was called a center punch. It shatters glass.
Just
so
pops the glass
you pop it
and
you just cough. If the neighbor's outside, cough, and then you just kick through. And I was like, the first time I did it, I reached in and I unlocked the door and an alarm went off. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was like, I'm definitely not leaving here without anything. So grab shit off the counter. I think they had some money on the counter. I think they had a laptop on the counter. Yeah, nothing. There's bare minimum. But I've now broke into this house. I'm taking something. I leave. Regroup. And I'm like, the mistake was when we unlatched the door. That was unnecessary. We should have kicked through and walked through and then done the same thing on the way out, and no alarm would have gone off.
Okay.
So next time, we'll have to do better.
Okay.
So at this point...
How old is he?
At this point, I'm on parole. And I'm actually still, even though I've still managed to check in.
With the PO?
I've checked in.
Are they drug testing you? Are drugs back in the mix at this point?
So drugs are back in the mix, but they haven't drug tested me. They haven't drug tested me.
This guy is older than you again?
This guy is 2 years younger than me.
He's 2 years younger than you. Is he into drugs?
He is into drugs.
All right, so why don't you go back to just selling the drugs? Isn't that just so much easier?
So selling the drugs wasn't ever easier for me, and I feel like a lot of bad things happened to me in that, and people are like out to... I never got into that. I never liked that. So
you were just buying drugs?
This is buying drugs.
You're just buying drugs, but this is, I don't know, breaking and entering, B&E, basically?
B&E, yeah. B&E is what it should have been, but...
Well, all right, this was only the first time.
This is the first time.
The second time.
At this point, as I'm getting to know him, so he's like, I just got out of prison. He had gotten out of prison for... I want to say he went to prison for some type of burglary. They have burglary, robbery, different forms of it.
Burglary is when nobody's home. Robbery is
a home invasion.
It's like a home invasion if I break into your house and you're there.
So home invasion, yes. However, the definition of home invasion here in Nevada is an inhabited dwelling, and that person doesn't have to be home for them to charge you with home invasion.
Okay.
They charge you with all of it. Home invasion, burglary, and one other sort of that. And they're all the same.
Home invasion in the state of Nevada, somebody doesn't have to be home for you to be charged with that.
Yeah.
You described the first go-around. The second go-around goes down how? You look for another house in Summerlin?
Another house in Summerlin.
Okay.
Do the same thing.
Tell me how.
And
tell me when is it successful? Tell me it's successful.
It was successful. So my plan.
But how is it successful?
So my plan is I'm not gonna pull up in a U-Haul and this is what I told him. I said potentially any of these houses could have an alarm. So we need to have like a time limit of how long it takes for us to go in and out. Mm-hmm. Ideally, somebody would stay out front and watch, but nobody wanted to do that. So we're just going to have to just do our best. Don't hurt anyone. I don't want to hurt anyone in their own house. We're not doing that, so don't do that. But
so did you ever break in a house and somebody's there?
I never broke into a house and somebody was there. I did actually the front door was unlocked, opened it, there was someone there. I had rubber gloves on. I immediately put them behind my back because I was like, let me always go to the door. If somebody sees me, if they see you, it's not going to be good. But if they see me, it'll be fine. I walked in and I acted like I was at the wrong house and immediately turned around and left, got out of there.
All right. So how does it go down successfully though?
So successfully, I would go to a house, 9:00 in the morning, set a timer, go in, and we're going to look for their jewelry. We're going to go to their bathroom, their closet, grab a pillowcase. Mm-hmm. When you grab a pillowcase off their pillow, load that up. Do not get stuck. Don't try to take TVs off their wall or any of that other kind of stuff. We're finding the jewelry or any type of safes or anything like that. Or money, obviously.
Yeah, but what if you find a safe? How are you opening it?
Didn't even think that out. Just thinking if there's a safe, there's something good in it, we should take it. Not thinking there's...
But now you got to carry the safe out.
Exactly. So I predominantly took jewelry.
Isn't that heavy?
It's heavy.
The safe?
Yeah.
And now how are you getting the safe?
I'm not even really taking. This is what my mindset is. This is what the plan is. But the real plan of what really happened is
to get jewelry.
The jewelry. I met a guy, a Russian guy, who supposedly had a jewelry store and he was always willing to pay. He was like, don't take anything to the pawn shop. I'll pay you top dollar for gold, this, that. And I trusted him because he would go through everything. He'd give me a certain amount. And at this point, I am coming out of this with $3,000 to $5,000. And he would, at one point, even give me money just saying, make sure you
come to me.
Go into your jewelry box tonight. And I don't mind giving you, a couple $1,000s, but make sure, wedding rings, things like that.
Okay, so you met a Russian person that's probably sending this overseas?
I don't know what he was doing. I just know that he was willing to...
How did you make that contact?
So I want to say I made that contact through someone else that I knew that was doing things like that. I was like, oh, this guy, you can sell him your jewelry.
Okay.
And I just noticed that, with the gold, and he did things just like a person that would know about... Game. Yeah. So if he told me something wasn't good,
it's not good.
I threw it out the window. When I caught my case and got all my charges and they had the lists of things that people were saying were worthwhile, I was thinking that literally went into the trash. Wow, that was awesome, perfect. Just wasn't worth anything to him.
And what are you making per week now? How many are you doing? And this is after this is after you've been released from prior burglary charges with the other girlfriend. Now you have a new boyfriend, fair to say?
Fair to say.
2 years younger.
Fair to say.
And he's helping you on the B&Es.
He's helping me on the B&Es.
And it's a two-man operation?
It's a two-man operation.
So it's a small operation.
He's talking about wanting to shut down streets and rob people's... He has a whole elaborate scheme of things that he wants to do, and I'm like, no.
You just want to do houses.
We're going to stick to daytime.
Houses.
Nobody's home. Don't hurt anybody. Don't even think, because I want to say that maybe when he went to prison... Maybe there was a weapon involved. I'm not sure. But I was like, that's not an option. That's out. If somebody comes home, we got to go. We got to go. So,
and this was successful for how long?
So this was successful for less than a month.
So
I want to say 28 days. So I was on parole for a few months. I was only out of prison for, I want to say 2 or 3 months maximum. He told me that he was also on parole and he had an ankle monitor.
You can't be doing burglaries with an ankle monitor. They know
I did not know that.
But they know everywhere you went.
Listen, I was on an ankle monitor.
You were too?
I was on an ankle monitor on a previous time when I got out of prison. Mm-hmm. And it was like a phone. It's connected to
that might not have been as sophisticated then, because this is 20 years ago-ish.
It was totally there was no GPS tracker. It was like if you got too far away from the phone, they were alerted.
Beep, yeah.
And then you would call in and write everything down of where you were going, and everything had to align like that. There was no GPS.
Yeah, but this is bad. We're doing burglaries with a...
But his does have GPS.
Okay.
His has GPS.
So now you're fucked.
So now I'm fucked. So
this robbery, the burglaries only went for a month.
So we went into a house and we're leaving the house, and a person came home with her kids. She was in the car.
Okay.
We were get into the driveway. I'm immediately trying to just make sure you're not seeing my face. So I get in the car. So she sees him. She can identify him. And then something happens for him to get caught and them to start looking into all the GPS. Several of these people, so they start going to every single address that he's been to for that month.
Have you been burglarized? Wow.
There's some camera. There's the person still couldn't identify me. They can only identify him, but they know that I was with him. And so at this point, they have me on some of the stuff some of the stolen property, random stuff I would sell on Craigslist. So they have that. They don't have like any, for sure. It's but it's obvious it's probably stolen property. So they're like talking about hitting me with the stolen property. But the more that they go to the different addresses, because none of these people wanted to report it, they're thinking they're just going to get their money back through insurance. They're not. Yeah. They're just not. They're like, I'm never going to get my stuff back. So they went to all of those people and asked them, please
fill this form.
Fill out the stuff. So at this point, I'm in jail because.
How did you end up in jail though?
So I'm in jail because they're questioning it, and I'm on parole. And
so there's a violation.
Contact, yeah.
Because you have a contact with a felon, and that's
contact
a violation.
with a felon. So it's no questions asked. You're going to go to jail. So I'm like, if I can just get off of parole, because I have like, I want to say like a few months left on parole. If I could just get off of parole and cruise out, I could potentially get out and, because they haven't hit me with these charges. I don't know at this time that they're going to these people and doing all this. So I literally thought the day that my parole was up, I was like, perfect. I'm in here on possession of stolen property. I'm bailing out.
Yeah, you're out. Okay.
They hit me with like 75 charges. So I'm like.
So you got charged with violation of parole.
I got charged.
Associating with a felon, that's enough.
But they didn't even have enough time to take me back on your violation. That's automatic, so that they can see you, and it's a no matter what. If you've come into contact with law enforcement or whatever, they're going to violate you. They were not able to get me back to the prison to do the violation before my time ran out. So at that point, my sentence was over. And they knew that was happening, so they immediately charged me with all those charges.
Which is a lot of burglary charges.
There's no impossibility of getting out on bail. They hit me with home invasion, burglary, possession of stolen property, selling stolen property.
And this is when it becomes much more serious?
They said, you're looking at the habitual criminal.
Well, I mean, you've already been charged now 3-4 times.
Yeah.
And this is on what type of time frame are we talking
3 years.
about? This is all within a 3-year period.
3 years.
So you're how old are you now?
This is within, I guess I went to prison, so maybe it's within 5 years, 4 years.
So how old are you now when you catch all these charges?
23.
23?
Yeah.
Okay.
22.
23?
Yeah.
So this all happened in a very short window. You were never out for very long.
No.
Once you went in, you were in and out quick.
Yeah.
Repeatedly. So by the time this comes to court now, you're looking at a very...
So I'm assuming I'm looking at 5 years, because everyone that I knew that got the habitual criminal would get 5 to 15. So I was like, but I'm me. Mm-hmm. So maybe I could get 3 or 4 years. And the attorney that I had really did not vibe. Mm-hmm. He was like, you're constantly trying to tell me how to do my job. The only way that you're going to get out of this is if you tell on him. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm just not going to do that. That's just not the way that I roll. So let's figure out something different.
Okay.
And just go with like, I didn't do it. There's no proof of me doing it. This woman's identifying him. Let them just do what they need to do.
Okay.
And so I just assumed that was going to be the way that it went. He had already gone for a charge like this. I had never had charges like this. It's completely out of my realm. So I'd rather it just kind of be assumed that I got roped into this. Not say it straight out, but...
Right, but you had prior burglary and theft
I did
charges.
I had some prior stuff, but not to this degree. And he's the one with the house arrest bracelet, and he's the one that they saw. And
so you were hoping that without you saying it, he was going to take the weight.
Yeah.
And how did that play out?
It did not play out like that. So...
Was there a trial, or did you end up pleading again?
So I went back and forth with my attorney, and at one point they had offered 8 to 20. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm not taking 8 to 8. That's a minimum of 8 years. Mm-hmm. I have 1 year, like I'm willing to do 3 years.
Okay.
3 or 4.
Okay.
And he's like, the small habitual is 5 minimum. And I was like,
okay.
Well, I just prefer not to have this habitual. And so after going back and forth over the course of time and him saying, you know, it's either going to be him or you need to kind of figure something out. And
but you're not in contact with him now. He's not. How are you in contact?
Yeah, I'm talking to him, and he's saying stuff in his letters that he's writing to me as well.
Okay, so there is a little bit of correspondence.
There's correspondence, and I can just tell that I just need to hurry up and get whatever it is over with, because it's the longer that it goes on, the more people are thinking, and it's just not gonna go good.
Okay.
So I had refused the deal for the 8 to 20, and then he said, okay, there's a deal where you plead guilty to one of each charge, which is home invasion. I was like, I just don't even know how I'm getting a home invasion. No one was ever even in their house. And that's when they explained it's a pets, anything makes it a home invasion.
Right.
So home invasion, a burglary, and one other charge that's similar like that, but they're all class B up there felonies, and that they have the right to argue for the habitual criminal.
Okay.
And I said, well, the paperwork, the way it reads, is that they can argue for the large habitual or the small habitual. And at that point, the large habitual is 10 to 25 or 10 to life or 25 to life.
Right.
And I said, so now you want me to sign something saying that they have the right to argue for 5, 10, 15,
That's way
anything?
Worse than the 8.
And he's like, you need to let me do my job. You don't know. They're not putting anyone like you in prison for 10 or 15 years for a nonviolent crime. This is a nonviolent crime. That's for people who are carjacking people, pulling guns on people. Mm-hmm. Just let me take care of this. You could potentially plead guilty to these, and maybe you'll get the 3 to 10 or the 4 to 10. And I was like, okay.
Okay, so then this is between you and the attorney, though. Now.
This is between me and the attorney, and
okay.
I said, okay, I guess I'll just take my chance in court.
Okay, so you went to court and you pled.
So I pled to the 3 felonies and gave them the right to argue for that.
And how did that play?
So how that played is that so he went first, and then he was apologizing. Your Honor, I'm sorry, I should have been a better person. I should have put my foot down and said that this wasn't right. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like...
Making it so you're the mastermind.
100%. Mm-hmm. So I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I was like, okay, so they gave him 5 to 15.
Okay.
And then...
Was he sentenced first?
He got sentenced before me.
Okay. So he's got 5 to 15.
He's got 5 to 15.
But still a very serious charge.
And they were like, you know, we want to do something different with her. She's an older woman.
But you're 23 at this time.
I am 23 years old, and they called me an older woman, so I was already just like taking advantage of a younger man.
And what was he?
21.
You said he already had prior prison time.
Prior prison time for this type of charge.
Okay.
And they were like... She's got a history. It's escalated.
Fair, though.
Fair. And so, you know, I did what I always do, and I said, you know, I'm sorry, and all the right things, all the things that I know that they want to hear. Mm-hmm. And they were like, you know, we're looking at you, and I'm looking at the paperwork, and it really doesn't add up, but this is who you are. Mm-hmm. This is who you are. And so we're gonna go with the recommendation. We're gonna sentence you to 10 to 25 for your first charge.
Okay.
And we're gonna give you 10 to life for the second charge. So you'll have...
So you should have took the 8. You should have took the 8.
I should have took the 8. I should have took the 8. So I honestly just started laughing. I couldn't even believe it.
I mean,
was totally
what else are you going to say at that point in time? So that 120 months minimum.
120 months minimum.
No matter what.
No matter what. And at this point, you can go to camp, because that was the other options the last times I had gone to prison. You could go to camp, you can work.
I don't think there's a camp.
When you get 120 months, you can work, and it's not going to do you any good. You're not going anywhere. You're not going to camp. You're I got there, and normally they allow you to stay in this holding unit, and it's crazy. Everybody's having a grand old time getting in, and they immediately took me out of there and put me in a unit where everyone had life. Everyone was murderers. They were like, we're doing you a favor because this is, where you're going to be. And I really couldn't handle it. So I immediately went to the hole. I was like, I just couldn't even believe that was mine.
This was the final
prison? I'm going to be here for 10 years.
And this was in what year?
2010.
Okay. So in and out, you were out on the street a little bit of time.
Barely.
But not much. But 2010 is the final sentence.
2010 is the final sentence, 10 years.
Okay. And where did they take you at this point in time?
Same prison. I already knew that prison, and I already knew what it was, and I already knew.
Because at this point in time, you'd already done how much time?
I had done, 2.5 years.
The judge is sentencing you. It's 10 years. It's 120. It's 120 months minimum to a maximum of what?
Life.
A maximum of life.
I have lifetime parole.
And you have lifetime parole. You should have took the 8.
Should have took the 8.
Because the 8 was the 8. Well, it was 8 to 12.
8 to 20.
8 to 20.
Which would have never been more than 10. But it would have been.
But it's state time.
You would have gotten off parole.
And you would have gotten off parole. So now, you said your mindset's not that good at this point because you know where you're going.
It's not that good. I feel like I want to die.
And you know where you're going, and you know.
I hate it there.
But you've already been there, so you know what you're walking into.
I know what I'm walking into.
It's not.
Could be worse.
It's not a surprise to where you're going. It's a surprise as to how long you're going to be there.
Yeah. And who I'm going to become.
And, who are you before you enter into, your 10, who are you in contact with at this time? Do you talk to this guy at all anymore?
I'm done. I'm not talking to anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't even want to talk to anyone who's going to be doing anything different than me. I'm completely done.
And, not to strike a nerve in the wrong direction, who has been taking care of your child this whole time?
My sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's done.
She's adopted her. She's adopted her. Yeah. She was not going to be good with my parents, so my sister was immediately like.
And you were going away for 10, so what are you going to do?
Even prior to that, you're not getting your life together. My sister gave me opportunities and told me like you can see her if you go to rehab. I'm not going to rehab.
But your relationship with your sister at present day is.
It's good.
It's very good.
Yeah.
You would say very good.
Yeah, and my daughter as well.
Who's older?
She's older.
She's older.
She's older.
So. She stepped up and did a very honorable.
That's her daughter.
But a really honorable.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's an honorable thing to do.
100%. My sister and my brother-in-law. Yeah.
So they're good people.
They're good people.
Yeah. All right. So, as I was saying, you're here. You're 10. You're going down for the 10, but this is it. You're on your own.
I'm on my own.
You're on your own, and you're on your own.
My family's willing to. They were really like my mom actually called the jail and wanted to have them put me on suicide watch because I told her if I got 10 years I would kill myself. But I said that not thinking that would ever happen. I would have never done that.
That's probably a common initial thought, though.
Yeah, I would kill myself. I'm not going to prison for 10 years. But then it happened, and I was like, okay, I'm going to prison for 10 years.
So reality's setting in, and this is tough.
It's tough. It's tough for me to imagine life going on and how to be a part. So I just didn't want anything to do with it, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just kind of went into into myself.
All right. That's a very interesting part 1, and we're going to continue this on, and we'll continue with what happens when you begin your 10 and how you change your life to where you are now, because me knowing you now, you live a totally different and a much better life now than at this point in time. So we're gonna delve deep into what led you here now. But thank you for your time today.
Yeah.
And we'll
You're welcome.
see you again soon.